Dun, dun, dun.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the For the Doers podcast, where we celebrate those who dream big and don't settle for less. Thank you for coming back. I am your host, Sayda, here with you again, and with my favorite partner in crime, Janis. She's
The
here
best.
today.
Partners
That's
in crime.
right. Partners in crime. Welcome back, Janis. So good to have you.
Oh, thank you. Nowhere else I would rather be on a Monday.
Right? Thank you for being here. Well, I have been teasing that I want to start exploring the spiritual side of being a doer. And it's such a complex thing. I want to just touch on it today, because I think that this can and will be a series where we'll have different guests on. I'm personally on a quest. I feel constantly on a spiritual quest. I grew up very religious. My dad was a Pentecostal evangelical minister. So, coming from that type of background, that was, like I said, very religious. I went to church 6 times a week. Growing up, yes, more than most people. So I have definitely started finding my own way. And I know people, even like you, Janis, and a lot of my friends are very similar, to where we're not exactly, religious, or some are religious, but it seems like we've made a shift to want more spirituality, a lot of us, in our lives in some way. For me personally, it is personal. It's like it has to be a personal thing. I get, we all want to be a part of something. I think that that's what is drawing us, because at least in the US, it's just, religion isn't what it used to be. We're not all led by religion. There's so many other religions that everyone is so much more aware of now than we were 20, 30, 50 years ago. The landscape's changing on spirituality. And like I said, I'm constantly searching to find what's personally fitting for me, that makes me feel like, oh, okay, that part of my life is complete in a way. But also, I think, again, for a doer, for somebody who's ambitious, what helps keep you going? For me, maybe that's even a bigger part of it, is, how do I think every single day about, like, how I'm going to keep going, what helps me when I'm down, and not focused? Do I need those rituals? That's so much. And like I said, I could keep going from that, but that's what we want to start to explore, is all of those perspectives. What do you have to say, Miss Janis?
Well, I think it's so interesting, especially when it comes to like the religious aspect of it. For a lot of people, whether it's religion or spirituality, I feel like that breathes into your day to day. So how can it not filter into like a professional realm? Definitely personal.
Mhm.
And it's one of those things where it's like, when things get tough, kind of where do you lean to for support or something bigger than
Yes.
you? And I think it's absolutely personal, because same thing with like our goals and our ambitions. it's all personal. It's like, how does it affect me? How, what do I want to achieve? What do I want to set out to
Yes.
accomplish? Um, so I think, this journey of finding what works for you on a bigger and higher level, absolutely personal, because we chatted about it before we hit record always. Where if it's not personal, how do you sustain it? If
Yes.
it's something that's, and for some people it's very much, their religion is very personal to them.
Mhm.
So that, it's like that self-sustaining trajectory of like, oh yeah, it speaks to me. It's something I wholeheartedly believe in. Um, and I think that's kind of a nice thing about it not being a concrete, like set in stone rule book. It's kind of like, well, if I can borrow a couple things, or hold on to different ideas, and like kind of make it a mixture of what's really poignant for myself.
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't know, at least that's kind of how I take it.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how I take it too. I mean, I love the way that you expressed that because I think that that's the ideal. You know, that's the ideal, is having that personal relationship with something bigger than you. Um, but it's just it's so different for so many people. Um, I'm not religious because, as we were discussing, for me, it was just too set in stone. Religion is too set in stone. Um, there's aspects that are, you know, incredibly important, and I see why they're important to people. But again, in my personal experience, I saw you. My experience was that my argument for it's too harsh was totally made by what I saw, that it's too harsh for people to have to go by this rule book, that was written centuries ago. And they're acting out because they can't live up to that. And to me, that's like trying to live up to perfection. It's never going to happen. So that's why I'm constantly, and I've changed. Obviously, like I said, I'm not religious. I'm not a church going person. I'll go every once in a while because I think the rituals are sometimes comforting. But in general, it's kind of like a realization of self. And again, I feel like I'm not the only one going through this because I'm having so many conversations about this. Like, you know, I'm really thinking about my ancestors and all the people who got me here, and what their beliefs were, and were they different from what I grew up with. Like, it's just, there's so much there. Um, I personally am taking comfort in that now, having lost both of my parents. I think it's different for everybody based on your experiences in life. And everybody looks for that thing, to help comfort them. For me right now, it's not like my parents aren't gods or anything. I'm not like saying that, but I feel like I have like a presence of them, guiding me in a way. And I never felt that before. Um, and I think that's a lot of us now are just looking for that thing that's not, I don't know, that's not what we grew up with. I don't know how else to express that.
Well, I think it's so interesting that I wholeheartedly believe that we are kind of like, we're like sponges to our environments and our
Mhm.
relationships, and we kind of like draw on different knowledges and, you know big pivotal moments in our life, like losing parents changes you. I think,
Yeah.
there's something, I love that you say like you're looking for something personal, but also comforting. Like you mentioned comfort a few times. And I
Hmm.
think it's such a beautiful headspace to be in where it's like, oh, it's peace of mind that you're being guided in a certain way or being looked out after, or somebody's got your back.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think
Yes.
it totally goes back to personal, what gives you that peace of mind when you're going through something challenging or you're trying to make decisions, or um you know when you have to do tough stuff.
Hmm.
Being a doer, there's a lot of tough stuff, a lot of
Hmm.
obstacles, or as you set goals or achieve the next thing, there's a lot of maybe pressure you put on yourself, and it's like, okay, well, what's the
Yes.
reason, what's the purpose, and what's the reasoning behind it all?
Yes. That's
It's
it. What's the reason behind it all?
right. And the cool thing is that it's a conversation, because everybody's experience is different. So
Yes.
talking through it and sharing, stories or thought processes, I think that's where the cool stuff comes in, because
Hmm.
you could be in your own head, but without hearing other perspectives or reading about different things, it's like, oh,
Yes. Yes. That's what this conversation is all about. And what I would like to continue here is like, you know, like a lot of other people, as soon as I took my first philosophy class in college, I was questioning everything. That was the beginning of the end of religion for me. But there are other people that was the beginning for them, or they found, like you said, it's like we have so many different experiences, but I think that this is a time to really try to be open and learn as much about what helps others, because even if you are religious, I know people who are still religious, but that I grew up with, but they're just not the same as they were. They, like they found their own path. Maybe that's what it is that I'm looking for, is like seeing what other people's paths are. And we were just talking about people who are existentialists, and I'm like, I didn't even know you could do that. So much to talk about when it comes to this, and something that I really want to explore with some of the wonderful people that we will be interviewing. I just think it's such an important thing right now for us to all share how spirituality either helps us, guides us, you know, how it has helped our um, our journeys, and has it changed the path that you're on? How does it influence your day? Which is a big one. Um, yeah, a lot of questions.
I love that. And I love that it's always an ongoing conversation.
Yeah.
And it just, it allows you to go down all kinds of different avenues and, have dialogue with people whose viewpoints might be a little bit different than yours. But
Yes.
just sharing that information, I think, is such a great space to be in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's what we're going to do. Thank you, Janis, for being here today.
Oh, anytime. I love
And
this topic.
I love this topic too. And I just want to thank everyone who's listening. again, thank you for listening. Thank you for all of your support, keeping these conversations going. Again, I'm super excited about speaking about spirituality in the future. There's so much to uncover there. I'm kind of wondering why I didn't start talking about this earlier. So thank you. Do not forget to like and subscribe. We are here for you and to have great conversations. And if you want to speak on spirituality, or if you're a doer and you want to speak on something else, always open to having a conversation. Thank you so much. I hope you have an amazing Monday, everyone. Have a fantastic week. And I can't wait to see you again next week. Thank you. Bye, everybody.